Joining us, Matt, let me start with you. He got sucked into the vortex there a couple times of talking about that whole idea of how many illegal voters may or may not have voted in the last election. He addressed it at least twice. He then kind of went with the asked and answered, and then he got back into it again. Why?
Well, he's being very solicitous to the press assembled there. He's allowing them to ask more than one question. These briefings are long. And, you know, there's a light spirit about it. And my guess is as the days go forward, Melissa, he's going to say that he's already answered the question and move on. You know, there's a great line from the House of Parliament in the UK when they say, I refer to the gentleman to the answer I gave some moments ago.
Asked and
he's going to have to learn that answer, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, Simon, there were other questions that came by that he said very politely, you know, I haven't talked to him about that. I'm going to, and, you know, when I hear more, I'll get back to you. There are other things he said I just can't tell you at the time. The speed of his answers, I'm sitting here with Shannon Bream. We were appreciating that. You know, he kind of whipped through things, but he did engage on that question of the illegal voters a number of times, which makes me think it's deliberate and they're trying to keep that conversation alive.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe. But listen, I know Sean Spicer, and I've been on panels with him, and he's a very smart guy. I mean, I think it's been a bumpy first few days for him. This is a very tough job. It's a new administration with very few people who have experience of working in the White House, and so I think it's going to be bumpy for some time. But I think that it's unfortunate for Donald Trump that there are these questions about truthfulness continuing to come out, whether it was on the march, what happened with the march, and then now this issue of the illegal voting, which clearly did not happen. Let's just be clear.
Or the Martin Luther King bust is another thing that clearly did not happen. So, that wasn't his fault. So
right. So I think that this is part of what the American people are going to realize, that this is going to be a bumpy ride for a few months for the Trump administration, and let's hope for the country that things settle down.
Matt, let me bring you to the other big issue of the day, which would be that executive order that he signed on numerous pipelines. Sean Spicer making the point, a couple of interesting points that we didn't have before, that specifically they're saying they're going to use U.S. steel, which is important because not only are you using American labor to create the pipeline and create jobs there, but you're also reviving an industry that he had talked a lot about by committing to use those materials. He made that point a number of times. This was a win in this press conference for Trump team, yes or no?
Yes, but you know, the on these executive orders and these actions, Melissa, is that we all need to be able to read and digest them. And there's this whole parlor game in Washington about what was really done. The reading that I've done on it shows that it allows U.S. Steel to have the government remove any encumbrance to them being competitive, so that it can be used. And if the government is making it harder to use domestic products, we ought to eliminate those barriers.
Yeah. Simon, what is your take on that one? I mean, certainly you will be following in the details if they're going to stand out front and say, we're helping Americans with this. There are going to be people standing there making sure that's really the case, or he's called on it.
Right, because the pipeline was going to be built by foreign steel, or at least one of them, and the oil and the stuff going through the pipeline was going to be going from Canada to other countries, and so it wasn't even going to stay here in the United States. So, look, I think that there's going to be opposition to this. I don't think this is going to be as simple as the administration thinks. This is a little bit complicated. But, you know, this is something he promised, and he's delivering on his promise.
All right, we will see. Gentlemen, thanks for hanging with us. We appreciate it.